All right, let's dive into one of the absolute weirdest puzzles of the human mind. We're talking about that tangled, kind of mysterious relationship between what we dream and what we actually remember. It's a connection that, honestly, challenges pretty much everything we think we know about our own lives.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Think about the last dream you can really recall. You feel like you remember it, don't you? But is that feeling the same as remembering what you ate for breakfast? I mean, is it a real memory? That's the big question we're going to try and untangle today.
And hey, if you're already feeling a little confused by that question, you're in really good company. Philosophers and scientists have been wrestling with this for years. They've realized you can't possibly understand dreaming without understanding memory, and, well, you can't get memory without tackling dreams.
This quote just nails it. This is our guiding star for this whole explainer. To get a handle on memory, we have to look at dreams. And to get a handle on dreams, we have to look at memory. They're two sides of the same incredible and kind of baffling coin.
Okay, so let's jump into our first big mystery. And it might sound like a silly question at first, but stick with me, because it's actually pretty profound. Is it even possible to truly remember a dream?
I mean, we all say it, right? You wake up from some wild, vivid dream, and you feel totally certain that you're recalling an experience you just had. It feels like a fact. Simple as that.
But this is where the philosophers jump in and throw a wrench in things. They push back and ask, what if that feeling of remembering is actually something else? What if it doesn't pass the test for what makes a memory, a genuine memory?
And this brings us to this amazing term, veridical confabulation. Wow! Okay, so here's the argument from philosopher Copenhaver. Since dreams don't happen in the real physical world, any memory of them is technically a confabulation. It's a memory of something that didn't actually happen. The dream felt real, sure, but the event wasn't real, so the memory can't be real in the way we normally think. Wild, right?
This slide just perfectly lays out the massive headache for researchers. As a philosopher Santa Anna points out, there's this huge imbalance. See, when you're awake, I can ask you, hey, what are you experiencing right now? But with a dream, I can only ever ask you what you remember experiencing after it's over. We're never studying the dream itself. We're always studying the memory of it.
So how in the world do you get around that? Well, this is where researchers like Demeshar and Wendt get super clever. Instead of just asking someone, so, what'd you dream about? They use these really cool techniques. Like, they'll wake people up in the middle of a dream to have them jot down immediate notes. Or they'll guide them through this intense interview to help them relive the experience in crazy detail. The whole goal is to get as close as possible to the raw dream and rely less on that flimsy, edited memory we have later.
Okay, you ready? We're going to flip this whole thing completely on its head.
Right? So far, we've only been talking about remembering a dream after you wake up. But what about memory inside the dream? Can your dreaming self actually tap into your real-life memories?
Now, this is a really important difference. On one hand, you've got what's called object memory. Of course, you can recognize your own mom or your childhood home or your dog in a dream. That happens all the time. But the real debate is about episodic memory. That's the ability to, while you're dreaming, consciously bring up and relive a specific event from your past, just like you would if you were awake. And whether that can happen, well, that's where things get really controversial.
This whole thing sets us up perfectly for a direct face-off. Let's put dreaming and remembering side by side and really look at how different they feel. So here's the bottom line. Both dreams and memories can be about the past, no doubt. But it's all about how they present that past to us. That feeling of pastness, as some people call it, is just completely different between the two.
The philosopher Barkasi has this brilliant analogy that I just love. A memory, that's like watching a home movie of your past. You're sitting on the couch, you know it already happened, you're just an observer looking back. But a dream, even if it's about something from your past, that's like you're living inside the movie. It feels like it's all happening for the first time, right now. You're completely immersed, not just watching from a distance. That is the key difference in how it feels.
And where do these things even come from anyway? The classic idea was that your memory is like a private video file in your brain, a perfect replay of what happened to you. But the more modern view from thinkers like Hubble-Watts says no way. Memory is something we build. We use the tools our society gives us, like language and shared stories, to piece our past together. It's not a replay, it's a reconstruction.
And what's so cool is that, as John Sutton argues, this exact same thing applies to our dreams. We think of dreams as the most personal, private thing imaginable, right? Locked away in our own heads.
But they're built out of the stuff from our social lives, our relationships, our culture, our conversations. They aren't sealed off from the world. They're made by the world.
So, after going down this whole rabbit hole, what's the big takeaway? Where does all this leave us?
And here we are, full circle. We started with this idea, and it's exactly where we have to end. You just can't put dreams in one box and memories in another. They are deeply, fundamentally woven together, constantly messing with each other, shaping each other.
At the end of the day, when we force ourselves to look at dreams and memories together, we don't just learn about two things. We get this much richer, more complex, and honestly, way more awesome picture of what's going on inside our own heads. It just reveals how incredibly complex our inner world really is.
So I'll leave you with this one last thing to chew on. If our memory of a dream is a reconstruction, and our dreams are built from the scraps of our memories, and both of those things are shaped by the world around us, then who's really the author of your life story? Is it the you that's awake, the you that's dreaming, or is it something else entirely?